Hiya, I'm Simone Radley from England and Nails, and in this video we are going to be doing a new nail art trend that I've seen everywhere. It's all over Instagram and Facebook and everyone seems to be doing it, and that is Milky Neon. So I'm working on an almond fit tip for this, and I've already done a base coat of I-156, so it's just white, and I'm going to use the neon pigments. Now when you do this you can do it however you want, to be honest. You could just do one colour all over with your pigment. You could do ombre, you could dot it about, you can do however you want to do. But for this one I'm going to do a vertical ombre, I think. And I'm going to use orange and pink, and that is Laura and Rachel. So these are the ones I'm going to use for this, I reckon. But first I'm going to put down a bit of couch roll because it's going to get messy. I'm going to make a right old mess. I always make such a mess with these pigments. And I've just got like a couple of, they're just cheap like fluffy brushes to do my pigment with. So I'm going to take the lid off. I just always get these everywhere. Hopefully I won't make too much of a mess. Right. So I'm going to start first with my pink one, I think. I'm just going to load my brush up. That's probably a bit too much. Let me just tap it on here. And just pat it on. So like I said, I'm doing a vertical ombre, so I'm going to pat my pink down one side. And then I'm going to put my orange on. I do tend to sort of pat it out in the lid a bit just to, because I want quite a lot but not a ridiculous amount. You want enough so that your pigment is touching the polish sort of instead of your brush, if that makes sense, because you don't want your brush just to be touching the nail and getting rid of like the sticky layer. And now I'm just going to go over that middle section. It's focusing on these pots. Let me just move them out of the way. That's better, I think. So I'm just going over that middle section just to blend it out a bit more. Let me get a bit more orange. And then I'm going to use my fat fluffy brush to dust it off. And it also helps to sort of blend it in a bit more as well. And it gives you a nice ombre. So, I'm going to put my lids back on my pots because otherwise I know what's going to happen. I'll be covered in pigment. And I'll get rid of that as well. And I'm going to try and clean my gloves a bit. Okay, so for the next bit I'm going to use Sobiab, and I'm going to use Milky White and Super White, because Milky White on its own, it just wasn't opaque enough, so I'm going to mix them both to do sort of the middle bit. But firstly I'm just going to use Milky White by itself, and I'm going to give this a coat of Milky White because it gives a good base to start with, but also you don't want to sort of drag the pigment off. So when you do this coat of Milky White, you need quite a bit on your brush, and I'm going to float this on, so it's going to be a real floaty layer. So by that I mean you don't want a big bend in your brush so that you're really brushing it on and putting pressure on your brush, because if you do that you'll drag your pigment off and you'll just make a mess and you'll make all lines in your pigment. So just try and keep minimal contact with your brush so you don't disturb it. And then once it's all coated, just pop it in the lamp to cure for 60 seconds. So now that's cured, I'm going to move that out of the way for a second and we're going to mix our Sobiab together. So now I'm going to mix the Super White and the Milky White together. So I'm going to start with some Super White. Now I'm going to mix a fair amount of this because I'm going to use it for some other nails as well. But if you were just doing one, you would mix less. The exact ratio, I don't really know because I just do it by sight, to be honest. You do want more milky white than super white because although you want it to be opaque, you still want to get that sort of milky effect. I'm just getting rid of some fluff. My God, fluff is the bane of my blooming life. Right, I'm going to add my milky white. Right, so I'm going to mix that and see what it looks like. You can also do this by mixing white and clear. Okay, we're going to give that a go, I reckon. So, to apply this to the nail, I'm going to use the Cat 2 brush. So I'm going to use that. But first, I'm going to go back to my milky white. I'm just going to move this out of the way so it's not focusing on that. So I'm going to go back to my milky white and do a really, really thin layer. So now you can just kind of really like scrub it on because you're not going to worry about something's just fell over. You're not going to worry about disturbing the pigment now because you've already got that sort of base layer on there. So we can really do a really nice thin layer, and this is just going to be a slip layer for our other white. So now I'm going to use this brush, like I say, and just get quite a blob like that, so it's quite a lot. And I'm going to start at the top, always keeping connection with the gel and the brush, and just floating it down. And I'm floating it down the middle. Because we've put that slip layer on already, that really thin layer, it will automatically move out towards the sides. So we don't need to focus on that at the moment. Just literally focus on getting it down the middle. So I'm just swinging side to side to side to side. And we're just building the nail up, but also obviously building this nice milky white colour up. And as you can see, it automatically flows to the edges, so you don't need to worry about that. All the way down to the free edge. Easy peasy. I've got a couple of blooming bubbles, so I'm going to pop them if I can. And then, because it's flowing off to the edges, I'm going to turn it upside down for a few seconds. So if I was doing this on a client, I'd just flip the hand over for a few seconds. And I like to look and see what's going on as well. And sometimes I'll keep it upside down and use my brush just to lightly drag the gel where I want it. So you can see we've got a lot here and we've got a bit of a dip. So I'm just going to drag this over. Just turn it up. Ooh. Drag that down there. Just turn it upside down again. Oh, it looks lovely. And then when you're happy, just stick it in the lamp to cure. Now that's out the lamp and it's looking lush. I cured that for 120 seconds because it was quite a hefty amount and I wanted to make sure it was cured properly. So now at this stage, I'm happy with that because, if you can see, it's nice and even, because I floated it on and obviously turned it upside down. It's really nice and even. It's got a nice sort of apex curve to it and it's not lumpy and bumpy. But if you sort of struggled with it maybe a little bit and it's a little bit bumpy, at this stage you could buff it. So I'd either use a 150 or 180 buffer and you could just buff over it a little bit lightly just to sort of smooth it out. But I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to top coat it, and I'm going to use Rock Plus. Now I'm going to stick it in the lamp to cure for 60 seconds. Now I'm just going to wipe the sticky layer off with a bit of green cleaner and a lint-free wipe, and that is that. Done. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you're going to be doing loads of neon milky things. And yeah, that's it. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!